Okay, in my effort to get far more interesting images than my face on this screen, when I start these things, I'm grabbing what's ever in front of me, and those were Mother's Day flowers I got for my wife. So, I'm going to continue with what I was doing the last video and read a little bit about my involvement in community theater, where I'm, again, reflecting back on my first involvement in theater, which was in a 4th grade Christmas pageant. I keep saying I is the character, so I'm just going to go with it. You know what I mean. He was involved in so of course I switch up. He was involved in a production of The Glass Menagerie and was cast as Tom, and he's thinking about his previous experience. I decided just to go with it, not overthink it. I would take Andy's advice and bring my life into it. It wasn't hard to find parallels. A guy who stayed too long in a situation, who wanted to be a writer and lived with his crazy mother and a crazy family. The backstory of the play was that Tennessee Williams was the character, and part of his struggle was that he was gay. So I had that too, at least per the locals. My only previous acting experience was every day of my youth pretending I was a normal kid from a normal family and as one of 5 bakers in a Christmas play when I was in 7th grade, plus a walk-on role as one of the 4 wise men in a 4th grade Christmas pageant. It surprised me when I was chosen for that 7th grade play, as hillbilly kids never got to be in things like that in school. Turns out it was one of those school setups where the thing tantamount to not being chosen was to be cast as one of an infinitely expandable or contractible number of non-gender specific bakers, newspaper sellers, cooks, or servants. It was similar to our Christmas pageant in the 4th grade. Just after the 2 primary roles of Mary and Joseph were cast, every girl not the Blessed Virgin was an angel singing in the choir. The boys left over were mostly shepherds and innkeepers. Jesus was played by a low-watt light bulb stuck deep into a bassinet and an ancient baby doll scarred and pitted with the eyes that had opened and closed as you raised and lowered it, now paintless and lead gray, giving it a creepy, soulless stare. I think to underscore the fact that I was an add-on, I was the 4th wise man, wearing a bathrobe as my costume and a glued-on beard, trailing the other 3 on stage as if I had absent-mindedly attached myself to the group at the last minute, having just woken up and coming to see what was going on. I brought the Savior a gift wrapped in candy cane wrapping paper with a red ribbon tied around it. The 7th grade play was about some Victorian family at Christmas and was like an Elvis Presley movie. There were songs about the oddest things stuck in just to give people something to sing. If fewer kids had tried out, 2 or 3 bakers, newspaper carriers, cooks would have sung a song. As it was, 5 of each were what was needed. As they weren't the plum roles, they went to the social outcast. A masculine girl, who I thought was probably a lesbian, was cast as a newspaper carrier and told to dress like a boy. I'm guessing as an inside joke among the teachers. We bakers were 4 hillbillies and an effeminate kid named Jeff who sang soprano. If a hillbilly kid had the most natural boy soprano voice that had ever been heard, like angels singing, he would never sing soprano. He claimed he couldn't sing, or at least try to make his voice lower. Jeff was bubbly and proud and once stood in front of the music class and sang Danny Boy a cappella, sounding just like a girl. For the show, we were asked to bring a tray covered with a white tea towel. Owing to our disrupted sort of existence in poverty, we had no tea or hand towels, and no towel at all that was not threadbare and beyond what most would consider worn out. We certainly had no trays. My friend Bert was playing a baker as well, and I asked him if he could bring me a towel and a tray. He said he would. Following the afternoon show for the school, one of the teachers helping with the play said we needed to be in the music room before that evening performance to have makeup put on. In addition to worrying about getting there from our place way out in the country, as my mom's car might not start or she might be in such a mental state that she could really only stare blankly and swear at me when I said it was time to go, or she would go but would come in all disheveled and sit at the back of the place and alone and put on her crying, pitiable face or her angry, staring face and embarrass the crap out of me, I had to figure out a way not to have makeup put on. I knew I would not wear makeup, as did 3 of the other bakers. We hid out in the boys' locker room until just before the curtain went up so there wouldn't be enough time to paint us into humiliation. When we were ducking into our hiding place, I saw Jeff going into the music room. As we were leaving the locker room to go to the stage, we saw Jeff. He did not have on what I came to know as stage makeup. I'm guessing, owing to the teacher's only previous experience with cosmetics, he looked more like Annette Funicello about to go to the prom with Frankie Avalon. All he was missing was the giant hairdo with a black bow. His eyes were done with shadow, the eyebrows darkened, and the lashes lengthened. He had on rosy blush and bright red lipstick. Jeff was over the top happy to look that way, giddy with excitement as he ran from person to person to show off his new look, calling himself Hot Lips. Bert's mom caught us just before we were to go on and said he was in trouble for not being made up. Bert said, "I ain't doing it. You can't make me do it. I'll take a beating, and I still ain't doing it." He looked over to Jeff to make his point, and his mom's eyes followed. I could see Bert's mom then agreed that it probably was best we had hid out. At some point in the play, when Christmas dinner was being prepared, we walked out single file, holding trays of some random objects covered with the tea towels, set them down on the floor, and did our song. It was more like a chant with hand movements. We pound our dough, we bake our bread, making sure the family's fed, and so on, being humble servants to the rich white people. I said to Bert, loud enough so the rest of the bakers could hear, as we all bent down to pick up our props to leave the stage, "I bet Jeff goes home in that makeup and pounds his dough." Jeff smiled broadly. The other bakers laughed. Bert so much that he stumbled and dropped his tray. The audience loved it. Then I go back into the menagerie piece. So that's how that works. More at another time.